With everyone fighting for attention, how can your business stand out and connect with customers? Easy, with Constant Contact. Constant Contact's award-winning marketplace platform has helped millions of small businesses stand out, stay top of mind, and see big results fast. It's okay if you don't know much about marketing. Constant Contact's writing assistant tools and automation features help you craft messaging and say the right things at the right time. I use this to help write and send my email newsletters, and you should too. So get going and start growing your business today with a free trial at ConstantContact.com. Just go to ConstantContact.com right now. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall. ConstantContact.com.
Welcome back to 755 Forever. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer at The Athletic. I'm with my co-host, Eric O'Flaherty. What's happening, Eric?
What's up, Dave?
That was a hell of a game with the Braves today, man. We've seen it a lot, and sometimes you kind of go, okay, now there's 2 strikes, though, and 2 outs in a night, so maybe it's not their day. But sure enough, Marcell Ozuna, I would not ever bet against Marcell Ozuna in Miami, because that dude, for some reason, he lives down there, and he just rakes at that ballpark. I mean, we all know there's some ballparks where some guys rake, like Matt Olson at Philly. I mean, he's crazy good there. And Ozuna at Miami, which is where he got going last year after his dreadful April. First 2 games of May, he has 5 hits, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, first 2 games. So he's continued that. He hasn't cooled off since last May 1st.
It's crazy that, you get hot in a stadium, and then when you go back, you're like, you almost just – you can breathe, It's like I always do well here. You don't overthink anything. You're comfortable. I had a few stadiums like that, and then you have the opposite too. Like I had Oakland. I hated pitching there. Never felt good there. San Francisco. Something about the Bay Area. It was always a battle for me to pitch there. But for him, it seems like he shows up and just knows he's going to do something every time.
So anybody that wasn't watching today, maybe you were watching the Masters and gave up on the Braves after they blew a 5-1 lead and they go down by 2. Charlie was pitching really good, and then all of a sudden he made a few mistakes, and they capitalized, and then Dylan Lee came in and gave up a bomb. Next thing you know, the Braves are down a couple of runs, and they go into that 9th and down a run, and they put together another one of their patented comebacks, and up steps Marcell Ozuna with 2 on and gets 2 strikes, goes 0-2, and then just crushes a ball. It was to dead center, and this is after he'd hit 2 earlier balls off the wall and had to settle for a single on one of them. He hit it so hard that it went right back to Jazz, and then he got a double on the other. So he could have easily had 3 home runs today.
Yeah, it seems like the ball doesn't really fly the same with that roof open.
Yeah.
It seemed like, and
it was swirling winds, too.
How many balls off like halfway up that tall wall in left center?
Yeah.
Throughout the series.
Yeah, the Braves have come close in this series, and all year, really, they've come close on a lot of balls. I know Matt Olson's had a couple that went off the bricks in right field at Truist, which is a high wall. It's one of the higher ones. But they've had a lot of balls like that they've hit hard off the walls. So you got to think some of those will start going over, because right now they're leading the majors in doubles, just tons of doubles. Whereas last year, they tied the major league record for home runs. You got to think some of those balls are going to start sailing as soon as it warms up. They've played in a lot of wet, damp conditions. Perfect conditions in Miami this time for a rare time when they only had that roof open, I think, 5 times last year. And they did it throughout the series.
I don't think I ever saw it. They'd have it open sometimes before batting practice.
Right.
Well, because they used to have real grass, so they had to have it open. But after, I don't remember ever playing a game with it open.
Not many. And I tell you what, it's a good thing they don't, because day games there, real problematic shadows, man.
Yeah. Those
shadows were pretty bad. And then CJ Nikowski, I think, or maybe it was Brandon pointed this out. I think it was CJ, that batter's eye was so much sun on it that it defeated the purpose of having a batter's eye. Because like half of it was dark in the shadows. The other half was so much glare off the fake grass on that, whatever that fake plant life is on that wall, that it was just glare. So it doesn't help you see the pitch coming out of a guy's hand when a batter's eye looks like that. For those who are not aware, that's what the batter's eye for. so a guy can
Yeah.
see some context, see the ball, some backdrop behind it, instead of white shirts in the crowd, which you had sometimes at old places.
It's crazy to see those old stadiums that had no batter's eye.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, I guess you do it in high school and things like that, but even high school fields now have like at least black fence or something blacked out back there. But think about hitting off, major league pitching, and you have just nothing but random white shirts, jerseys, scattered background. That'd be tough to pick it up.
And especially when the mound was higher.
Yeah.
You had Bob Gibson up there, or Sandy Koufax throwing a hammer at you with the white shirts in the background.
Yeah. And probably shadows.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because there used to be a lot more day games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. You get used to seeing night games or games in dome stadiums or whatever. And then, like, playoffs come around and you really see shadows because there's so many day games in the postseason, games you're watching. And it's got to be, I mean, for players, it's got to be weird when you don't play many of those games all year, especially if it's a big game and you're facing a really good pitcher. Like certain pitchers with certain shadows, like when the shadow line is coming straight across the field, sometimes
right in the
between
middle.
sometimes between you and the pitcher, and it's like hopeless. Then that's when guys just pile up strikeouts.
Yeah, typically if the ball's staying in one lighting the whole way, hitters don't complain too much. They will if the batter's eye's lit up and the ball's dark. That's tough for them. But the hardest is when the shadows come right across, like halfway between home plate and the mound. And the ball basically looks like it just disappears to them halfway. Those are brutal, and you always get them for like a Fox Sports game or like special broadcasts. They have like a 4:00 start, which is typically BP. So those throw guys off a lot, and then you go to the playoffs and you're only facing teams number 1 and 2s, and it seems like 50% of the games have shadows going.
Yeah. By the way, this episode of 755 Forever is brought to you by Joe Van Gogh's new coffee blend, number 44, named in honor. It's blend number 44, named in honor of Hank Aaron, and I happen to be drinking some of it right now. It's very good, man. Good coffee. I'm impressed. The beans are, you get it fresh when you get it mail ordered. It'll be there fresh, and it's been roasted like within the last week, and it's really good. So visit joevangogh.com. That's JoeVanGogh.com. We keep talking about Marcell Ozuna, and for rightfully so. This is a guy literally a year ago, we were still in April, and he was statistically the worst lineup regular in the majors in April. And coming off the 2 previous seasons when he had a sub 700 OPS and all the legal problems, there were a lot of us. I finally was one in April when he was so bad who thought, okay, the time's coming. They're going to have to cut bait.
Oh, I said it too.
Because the 2 years where the legal problems, you kept him because you still owed him so much money, about $50 million. But then last year he was so bad in April that you thought, okay, you're going to have to swallow the remaining $35 million or whatever on his contract, and just because you can't keep running him out there. And then it was like he flipped a switch May 2nd, beginning in Miami, when he had 5 hits, 2 homers, 5 RBIs in the first 2 games down there. And he took off from there, and he's not had a 2-week slump since then. And he's basically been on fire most of that time. We talked about Matt Olson. I looked it up. Matt Olson is the only guy with more homers and RBIs than Ozuna since May 1st last year. They're 1-2 in the majors. The guys who bat 4th and 5th for the Braves have more homers and RBIs than anybody else in the majors. And Ozuna's catching up with him. But coming off the 40-100, you thought a 40-homer, 100 RBI season, considering the April he had, when he had 2 RBIs starting May 1st. He had 2 RBIs, both on solo homers. You thought he had a 40-homer, 100 RBI season. He can't replicate that again. Well, right now he's doing the same thing, if not better. Through 14 games, he is tied for the Major League lead with Tyler O'Neill, who the Cardinals got rid of. He's with the Red Sox. He and Tyler O'Neill are tied for the Major League lead with 7 homers, each in 14 games. The difference is Tyler O'Neill's got 8 RBIs. Marcell Ozuna's leading the majors with 21 RBIs in 14 games. 21 in 14 games. That doesn't take a math whiz to know that. That's 1.5 RBIs per game.
Yeah.
That's pace for way over 200 RBIs.
When he gets hot, I mean, it seems like there's nowhere you can go. That ball he hit out tonight, or today, wasn't even a strike. It was a sinker down and in off the plate. And he just has so much bat speed. You know, I mean, you wonder how a guy with that bat speed ever struggles, but he does a few things that are unconventional, and it's just it's such a hard game. You know, you get into a funk, and it takes one thing to click, and that's what is hard, because you hear people wanting to give up on players, and this guy's washed and this guy's done. But it takes one thing clicking, one visual, one mindset change, one little like mechanical adjustment. Something clicks and you hold on to it. You can ride it like he has. Whatever adjustment he made back in May, or maybe it was a confidence thing. Yeah. Some little thing can change. Every single player is close enough, and then all of a sudden they go on a tear like this.
Yeah, I mean, because those 2 years were so bad, and his problems off the field were so bad, ugly, that it's easy to forget this guy led the National League in home runs and RBIs in a pandemic year. Yeah. He had 18 and like 60 or not 60, but 8, whatever the RBIs were, in 60 games. He had 18 homers. And with the Marlins, he had a year like he had last year, only more RBIs. So, you know, he's done. It's not like it's fluky, or like he's, you know, just played out of his mind last year. He just started so slow that the numbers look dramatic. But it's what the guy's capable of doing. I mean, you wouldn't teach anybody to swing like him, but you wouldn't teach anybody to swing like Freddie either, you know? The feet move with Ozuna. He's got to kind of sync it up. But I tell you what, once he gets in position to hit, his bat stays in the zone a long time, and he's got tremendous bat speed.
Oh, it's unreal. It seriously looks like he's swinging a 25-ounce bat.
Yeah.
You know, like a kid's bat, because you're not sure he's going to swing or not, and his bat just comes through the zone so quick, the balls he can get to. I mean, he's huge, right? What is he?
I was going to say, man, I don't know what he's listed as, but when you see that dude without a shirt on, he's massive arms. You know, he's not like a fitness freak. He's got a little boiler, but it's a hard boiler.
The hard boiler.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
you can't pinch any fat on it, but it's there.
It's like Austin Riley said, if you run into that guy, it's like running into a brick wall. And that's Austin Riley, who's like 235, 240. Ozuna's got some big ass arms, man. he can turn on anything. I mean, you can't get a fastball by that guy.
Mm-mm.
And he's so perfectly suited for DH, where so many guys, at least when they're in the prime of their career, which he is still. He's at the back end of prime, but he's still in the prime of his career. But so many guys don't want to DH, or they haven't done it before, and they feel like, I don't want to DH till I have to, so I want to wait till I'm in my late 30s. He's a perfect DH at a time when teams are not paying like they used to pay Ortiz and those kind of guys. Teams aren't doing that now. They're getting by with a combination of guys in the DH role. So the Braves are kind of a throwback in that regard, but they got a guy in his prime who happens to kind of suck defensively, and he's learned to hit.
Yeah.
I mean, he can do it. He doesn't have to play in the field to be ready every at bat. He's learned it, and they're in a great spot. I mean, they're paying him, $16 million. It's, maybe a lot for a DH, but with that production, that's not a lot for that production.
No. I mean, if you're a center fielder, you're probably making 30-something doing that, right? So you're getting half for that offensive production. I mean,
or a first baseman, making 25 to 30. So, I mean, I still don't think they're going to pick up the option next year. But I think they'll buy it out and extend him for it's a $16 million option with $1 million buyout. I wouldn't be surprised if they extend him, for like 3 years, $30 million, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what they're going to do.
Whatever.
But
yeah, you don't know. They don't have an obvious guy to take over at DH, and good luck getting that production for less than you're paying him.
I mean, no, you're not finding that. The reason guys don't want a DH is because it's so hard to stay loose and feel good. It's just sitting you're active. If you have 4 at bats, I mean, that's like 8 minutes into 3 hours that you have to. The rest of the time, you're just hanging out. And mentally hard to stay locked in. I mean, it's similar to like a bench roll, only you're going to hit, so you have more time to prepare for your at-bats. But guys want to be out in the field. You're running around. You're not thinking about your at-bats. It's almost a distraction, keeps your body loose, and then you just go hit when it's your turn. I don't think it's easy to DH, and certain guys can just do it, and they seem to have that big poppy mindset too. And it seems like Ozuna has that, where he's just whatever goes. I don't think he's stressing anything.
Yeah, Austin Riley said he did it some in the minor leagues. He's only done it one game up here, but he said it's hard, man. I mean, and then Michael Harris will say, I can't even imagine doing it, because when you have one job to do, and if you strike out, then you're sitting around. And if your team has a long at bat or it's cold out or whatever, you're sitting around thinking about your AB. You have nothing else to do but do that like 3 more times, 4 or 5 times in a game tops. And Austin Riley said, he's able to stay sharp because I couldn't do it when I tried. I mean, yeah, I guess you got to do it a lot, but he did it in the minor leagues quite a bit. And he said, and Chipper didn't like doing it either, ever in his career. He wanted to play third even when he was all dinged up. His knees were messed up, his ankle when he hurt it. No, he wanted to keep playing third base.
Yeah, most guys are going to get – everybody's doing their best, so you're going to get – now I wouldn't say obsessive, but – you're going to hyper-focus on it and analyze it too much to the point where you're tweaking your swing every time you get out. I mean, it's easy to get into a bad place when you only have one job. But if you go out and make a play in the field and now I've impacted the game positively, my next at-bat's not as big of a deal. You can't have that much weight on every at-bat. But I think good DHs, they don't put that pressure on themselves at-bat to at-bat.
Yeah, so the pandemic year, when he led the National League, he led them with 18 homers, 56 RBIs in 60 games. Also led the majors in plate appearances that year, 267 in 60 games. Led the National League in total bases that year and had 1,067 OPS. And you're like, okay, well, yeah, but that's shortened season. He'll never do that. And his high, though, was 2017 in a full season with the Marlins. When he was 26, he had 37 bombs, 124 ribbies, and a 924 OPS, and he hit 312 that year. And then, his average had gone down in those 2 years, the terrible years of the Braves, 21-22. He had 213 and 226 those 2 years, 645 and 687 OPS. So he looked like he was done. 30 and 31, age 30 and 31 seasons. Bounces back last year after the horrible April and has a 905 OPS for the year, hits 274. Now look at him this year. The dude's hitting 352 with 1,019 OPS and a 195 OPS plus. I know it's just 58 plate appearances, 13 games, or actually that's before today. Baseball Reference has not updated his before today. So I'll go to this other one. He's got a 1193 OPS. Right now he's third in the majors behind Tyler O'Neill and Mookie Betts. And the crazy thing is he's hitting 373. He's fifth in the majors, tied for fifth in the majors in batting average, 14 games in, 59 plate appearances.
Yeah, I think you get to May 2nd and look at the full year. Year to year, it's going to be pretty impressive.
The 162 game is going to be incredible because he's playing every game. So it'll be nice to see what he's got over 162. If he keeps this up, it's going to be incredible. So, yeah, if you're just going out of Brave stats, we talked about this. They're leading the league. They're leading the league and leading the majors and everything, basically, batting average, slugging, OPS, everything. And they're still doing this without a whole lot from Acuña. He's starting to heat up now, though. I mean, he hit a couple of hits today. I think it was 2. He's got the stolen bases are quickly going up now. He's got 7 steals. Still has not hit his first home run, but he's slugging 327. So his OPS is down at 712. So they're doing what they're doing now, and he hasn't even gotten hot yet, and he's going to. So when he does, just think with his offense, when he does his normal 900 OPS in the leadoff spot with the slug and everything, it's going to be just think how many more RBI opportunities those guys behind him are going to have. Because Ozzy's got 13 RBIs behind him, and that's with Acuña not getting on base like he did last year.
It's why it's hard for me to get too worked up over some starting pitching questions or, the bullpen has a rough couple games because this lineup is just – it's once in a lifetime. Yeah, I've never seen a better lineup than this. And
yeah,
the thing that was most impressive to me today was how comfortable those lefties looked off Lezotte.
Yeah,
I mean they were on everything. Harris,
their lefties
Olsen,
can hit lefties. Yeah,
so they're almost. You almost got to look at them as switch hitters like Ozzy. If lefties don't phase them, there's those lineups back in the day where you had a couple lefties that mashed righties, but you could bring in a lefty reliever and get through them. Like you might not even want to bring in a lefty reliever against Harris or Olsen. They might be more comfortable and just drive them. They'll go with the ball into the other gap. So it's just such a tough lineup. There's no breaks. They just grind you down every inning. There's people on base. Get 2 outs, and next thing you know, maybe you don't give up a run, but you throw another 21 pitches, and you ended the inning first and third, full count. And you got a pop up. And guess who's leading off the next innings? Top of the order. Like you grind all the way through this lineup.
Yeah, right now they're leading the majors with a 3. They're hitting 301 as a team. 361 OBP, leading that. They're leading in average, OBP, slugging, 496, and OPS, obviously. OPS 583, 857. Second in the majors is the Brewers at 838. Then you go down third, and you're down at 791. So they're the only teams at 800. The Braves are at 857. It's just crazy what they're continuing to do from last year. So it's like anybody that thought, okay, it was a perfect year for them, though, they can't repeat that. Well, so far they have, and they're doing it without Acuña being Acuña yet. And he's going to be Acuña soon.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole point, is that they can be even better. And it doesn't feel like there's certain times where a lot of balls are falling in, or you could just sense that this is not sustainable. But with this team, it's like, this feels exactly like it feels like every time I watch them.
Yeah, and a lot of those doubles are going to be home runs soon. Right now, they're tied for 10th in the majors in home runs with 17. But they're only 7 behind the leader, Dodgers. And this is after the Braves, tied the major league record last year, 307 homers.
Yeah. They'll hit 20 in a week. It's like.
Yeah, they'll have a couple of those 4 and 5 homer games.
Yeah.
And they're going to a hitter's park. Astros, pretty good hitter's park. We'll see. Astros are starting to heat up, by the way. Like a week ago, they looked just as bad as the Marlins did with 2 wins, I think. Now they got 6. So, you had a feeling they were going to get heat up. You just hoped it wasn't against the Braves, and now they're warm now. So I said the Marlins sucked, and the Marlins do suck, but they got a hell of a pitching performance from Max Meyer in that win yesterday. The Marlins could have easily won this series.
Yeah.
They were 2-11 going into this series. They could have easily gone 2-1 against the Braves in this series. But I thought that Max Meyer yesterday, that's no shame losing to that guy.
No, he looked good.
Charlie, I thought Chris Sale pitched well. He just made a couple of mistakes, but I thought he really pitched well and got deep in the game. Charlie, same thing today. I thought he pitched well, made a couple of mistakes. I thought the Braves, C.J. Nitkowski, I thought pointed out something really interesting, because it's talking about how Charlie swing and miss is down a lot on his curveball this year. There's only 2 starts for today. But CJ pointed out he's throwing a lot more of those curveballs for strikes, so he's not getting the chase and guys are making contact. He usually gets a real lot of chase on those, swing and miss on those. And today he did get a few, what he was talking about. He got ahead in the count, was able to throw that out, spike that curveball or throw it way outside. Got some swing and miss. But so far, before today, he was throwing a lot of them for strikes in the zone.
Yeah, I feel like Charlie does this every year. He kind of, it takes him a minute to get going. It
does.
And he has these starts early on where it's one good one, one bad one.
Yep.
And the bad ones are just an inning. It's 1 inning or 2 innings where he puts some guys on base, gives up a cheap hit and maybe a double. He struggles to avoid those crooked numbers, it seems like, early in the season. And then when you're writing him off, he goes on a tear.
Yeah. The important thing is he's healthy. His velo's same, spin rates, everything. He's healthy. That's all you care about with Charlie. Just keep him healthy. And the same thing with Chris Sale. He's healthy. Because right now, this pitching staff as a whole, bullpen started off great. They've stubbed their toe a few times lately. Fried had 2 of the worst starts of his career, and then he had a great Fried start in game 1 of the series. That was really encouraging for the Braves. I know it's against the Marlins, but it was a really strong start. So all 3 starters got deep in the game. But so far, the pitching staff's not even coming close to what they can do. I'm looking this up right now. As a staff, they are 23rd in the majors in ERA at 4.90, and they're 9-5. All the other teams they're down there with, as far as ERA, none of them have a record like the Braves do down there. The Rays are 5.06. They're 9-7. Everybody else down there is Rockies 4-12, Astros 6-11, Marlins 3-13, Giants 6-10, White Sox 2-13, Blue Jays 8-8. Those are the teams that are below the Braves. Angels 7-8, and Angels off to a good start for them. Nationals 6-9. So then you got the Braves at 9-5. It just tells you how powerful this offense is.
I don't think you can use a better, gauge for that.
Yeah.
It's not how you draw it up, and it's like I'm saying, you might worry about it, but the offense, sure, they'll hit some rough patches, but I mean, I don't think there'll be a series all year where they score 2 runs or less in 3 games. Yeah. You're always going to get some blow up innings out of this offense because there's just no breaks.
Garrett Crochet was the White Sox left-hander who shoved against the Braves.
Yeah.
They won that game. And Max Meyer did the same thing for the Marlins. So it's kind of like you can throw the record out the window when a guy's going to pitch that well that the Braves have never seen before. And Max Meyer, dude, that guy's made 3 starts this year. He's 2-0 with a 2.12 ERA for a team that's won 3 games. He's 25. He just turned 25.
Yep.
This he's the real deal. They had so many guys get hurt pitching-wise, but this guy, it's allowed him to kind of emerge as a staff ace. And the guy that pitched today is pretty damn good too, but the Braves didn't have trouble with him like they have in the past.
And you do it against this lineup, that's something you build on. You know, it's like,
yeah,
if I can do that to that team, I can beat anybody.
And Crochet, he had a 2.53 ERA through 3 starts against good teams, Tigers, Braves, and the Royals, who are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. He had a 2.0 ERA in those 3 games, not 2.53, 2.0 in those first 3 starts. And against the Braves, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. So until he gave up 5 runs against the Reds yesterday, that took his ERA up a run and a half. He's at 3.57 now, but he had 10 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings yesterday against the Reds. That kid's dynamite, man. He's got 31 strikeouts and 4 walks in 22 2/3 innings, and he's 1-3 because the White Sox are so bad. But he's a stud.
That's what you should be doing with that stuff. You know, I mean, it's shocking how many of these pitchers you see now. I see these lefties throwing 90 that have a 97-mile-an-hour fastball and a great off-speed pitch and a changeup.
Yeah.
And a 4.5 ERA. You know,
Yeah.
It's like it almost makes me mad. I'm like, how can you not? If you gave me that and let me just go pitch with that,
Yeah.
you know how much fun that would be versus just grinding it at 92. And it'd almost be good for some of these guys to just have a weird moment where they lose 5 or 6 miles an hour and have to actually figure out how to pitch. Because if you throw 97 and you're however tall and you can't find a way to make that stuff work to get out, like, I don't understand.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It's crazy because that team is so bad, but they got some serious talent. They got a couple of really good guys in the lineup, 3 guys, the White Sox I'm talking about. And then they got this kid starting, and Kopech as a closer. It's like you're wasting his arm almost as a closer because he is coming in there after a second Tommy John he had? I think he had a second. He's in there blowing gas, dude. He's throwing 101, 102 as a reliever, and he's like untouchable closing for the White Sox. But that guy's a stud, man. If he holds up, geez, you almost wince though watching him because he has had 2 Tommy Johns out there throwing that hard. But no. Garrett Crochet, though, the 31 strikeouts, he leads the majors. He's got 31 strikeouts in 22 2/3 innings. Next is Zach Wheeler with 30 in 24 innings. They both got off the charts strikeouts to walk ratio. Crochet's 31-4. Wheeler's 30-5. And then Glass now, he had that huge game the other day.
Yeah.
He got 29 strikeouts and 7 walks in 24 innings. He's 3-0 with a 2.25 for the Dodgers. So right now, that's looking pretty damn astute getting him. He might have been just what they needed if he can hold up, but it's a long season, and he hadn't been able to hold up before.
He's a freak of nature. I was in camp with him in Pittsburgh, and it was like, they put you through all these tests like broad jump and they put you through actual athletic tests, even though you're a pitcher. It's like, I don't know if this will transfer or not, but we're going to test all these things. And whatever everybody was jumping or however fast they were running, it was like, just add 20%. And that was Glass now because he's tall and he's shredded.
Oh, yeah.
He would be lifting and he looks skinny, but he's deadlifting 450 pounds like it's, a 50-pound dumbbell, just picking it up like it's nothing. There's so many guys like that in the game now that there didn't used to be.
Right behind them, by the way, in the 4th slot and in strikeouts, Cole Reagans, dude, is dealing with the Royals. He's got a 1.93 ERA in 4 starts, 29 strikeouts, 7 walks, and 23 1/3 innings. Cole Reagans. There's a lot of different guys at the top, man, because so many guys are hurt.
Yeah, and it's hard to
Wheeler
keep
being
track
exception.
now because the game's so young. I mean, I haven't even seen that guy pitch yet. I used to know everybody in the game because guys will be with teams for 5, 6, 7 years. There's a new guy every day coming up doing something.
Then there's some familiar guys. Wheeler's familiar out of the top guys there, but there's some, and Glass now, but he's always been hurt. But there's some familiar guys after that. Louis Castillo, my guy for the, he's got a ton of strikeouts, but man, he's getting lit up. So many hits he's giving up. But you got Reed Detmers is dealing for the Angels. One of the reasons they've got off to a good start. He's 3-0 with a 1.04 ERA for the Angels, man.
Did he throw a no-hitter?
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, last year.
I thought somebody threw one this year. Or he threw one last year.
Yeah, the guy for the Astros threw it this year.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Zach Allen off to a great start with Arizona, 3-0, 1.64 and 4 starts. Freddie Peralta, there's some familiar names there. Corbin Burns off to a great start with Baltimore, and then some other ones, some new guys below that. So anyway, yeah, a lot of new faces on there. A lot of veterans coming back from injuries, trying to come back. How do you get ready for a day game after a night game? A superb cup of coffee, or 2 or 3 or 6 in my case, is a great way to start. Joe Van Gogh Coffee suggests blend number 44, so named in remembrance of Hall of Famer, Braves legend Hank Aaron, Henry Aaron. What better brew to pour into your 755 Forever mug, those are sweet mugs, by the way, than a coffee honoring Hammer and Hank, the author of 755 Big League Home Runs. For a limited time, find our blend number 44 at joevango.com and enter the code HAMMER, it is still going, at checkout to receive an additional 20% off your purchase. Good coffee. Joe Van Gogh has been roasting and serving coffee for 30 years and following the Braves through each and every one of them. Visit joevango.com. That's JoeVangogh.com.
Craig is usually a fan of water cooler talk, but it's draft season, and that's all anyone wants to talk about. The Athletic has loads of articles about this year's draft, but Greg doesn't have The Athletic, so now he's filling up his water bottle in the bathroom sink. Which, to remind you, is the sink people use after they use the bathroom. Get The Athletic and get the info you need to speak draft fluently.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
And you hate that. Hate it for him. You know, feel really bad for him. I mean, he's a kid that does everything right and loves to compete and just the whole everything.
We got the news that I think most of us, we talked about it, were expecting. The worst case, obviously, is, or the bad part of it, obviously, is Spencer Strider had to have elbow surgeries out for the season. The best case out of the worst case scenario, in other words, the positive out of it is he didn't get a full Tommy John. He got the brace, which we talked about might be the reason why they hadn't announced it yet. They were waiting because I think he was weighing his options. And, you know, Strider probably dug way into the research, probably asked a bunch of people, which should I do, and figured out why. So he got the internal brace, which is pretty new. I mean, relatively compared to Tommy John. This is kind of the new age of Tom. Instead of, if a guy doesn't have to get Tommy John, some guys are getting this. The advantage being it's not half the length of the rehab, but it's about 4 or 5 months shorter. So instead of, what used to be Tommy John was 12 months. All the pitchers are going 15, 16 months now. Nobody's doing 12 like they used to, like Moylo did. But this thing is like 12 months. Being cautious, being prudent. So instead of coming back at the All-Star break or after the break next year, Strider can now aim to be back early in the season. Yeah, well, you're looking at April 12th. He had it, so at a year from then. And if it goes well, who knows? Might even not rule out opening day. He could be ready opening day. That's 11 and a half months.
I need to read about this thing because it's so new. I don't really know, I don't know a ton about it. Well, if it's as invasive or what.
It's not. I did some research on it because the other day when they announced that he got the internal brace, Meister, and that was another reason I thought he might get it, is because Meister is kind of at the forefront of the internal brace procedure. He's one of the leading practitioners of it, kind of like Andrews used to be or Job used to be with Tommy John. What they do is, the biggest difference is you don't have to build a new ligament. You use the ligament that's there. So I don't think you can do it with a complete tear. But with a partial tear, what they do is they build a suture like it's a tape-coated thing.
Yeah,
and they attach it to the ligament. And it's not nearly as much drilling into the bones. You still anchor this thing, but it lets that regenerate, and it supports that. But you can't do it with I don't think you can do it with a complete tear. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think it depends on also the tissue with specific patients. Some guys are quote unquote fast healers or whatever, and some guys are, maybe if they're older, maybe they wouldn't be great candidates for it. But I guess Strider really was a good candidate for it because it tells me he did not have a full tear, obviously. They never called it a tear. They called it damaged.
Well, the full tear is normally the pop and you walk off the mound. You
exactly.
don't have a full tear when you walk off and tell the trainer it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it seems like every guy that has a partial tear says after the fact, or I'm getting a little sore, or Strider he wanted to keep going. And I was wondering, because I had not done the research. I didn't know what the success rate for this was. I thought maybe that's the drawback, is it's not as kind of foolproof, but the success rate is good. So they have to determine if you're a good candidate. But once they do that, I think the success rate is just as high, or maybe even higher for a second one. But we don't have enough people to really, you can't tell yet. Not enough people have done it.
If I needed another one and you gave me the option of a full TJ or reinforcing whatever's going on in my elbow, I'd choose this every time.
Yeah, I mean, you're not having to build a new ligament out of another part of your body.
Yeah.
You're keeping that ligament. So, it's got to be better as long as they can strengthen that thing and let it heal. And you have that thing stays in there, obviously.
Yeah. And like I said, I pitched with a partial tear for it was 8 years. And most of the time, I didn't even feel it. There's times where it would pop up if I got a little worn down or something like that. But it always felt great after an off season and rest. And that ligament you got, I mean, that's been there. I just think the less kind of tearing up of that joint you can do, the less invasive, the better. If you gave me this option, I would take it, unless it was like 60% success rate and Tommy John was 90.
Exactly. I've heard 80 to 90, but I think that's to get back at or
100%,
better than you were. I mean, you'd want it to be closer to 100, but even Tommy John's not for a second one. We think of all the people that have done it and have been good, but there's not been many that have had a second Tommy John. So
no.
I think this was the best choice for him, obviously, as long as he was a good candidate for it. I mean, and for the Braves, I mean, that's a huge difference, getting him back at the beginning of the year as opposed to the All-Star break. Because if it was All-Star break, you'd really have to go out and get somebody in the offseason to fill that number 1 spot or number 2 spot, because you might not even have Max Fried next year. You'd be losing both your 1 and 2, at least until the All-Star break.
And Charlie's getting old. Yeah, you don't even know if he's going to want to keep doing it.
Charlie has hinted at retirement the last 2 years. So I think this year he probably will, unless he just has a phenomenal year. So you're gonna need Strider back and re-sign Fried, but it's getting way down the line with that. So his price is going up if he keeps having starts like he did yesterday. Of course, his first 2 starts, price was going down. So we'll see. But so that was the positive out of some bad news. You feel terrible for the guy, but knowing Strider, like he had the first one, and he went gung-ho into all that he could to fine-tune his mechanics, strengthen everything else, get stronger in the legs than he ever was. So if I know Strider, he's going to get stronger, even stronger in the shoulders and everything, that He already was a workout maven, but I can imagine him coming back and being in just ridiculous shape, you know. When he's
some guys use it. Some guys use that time off to try to get better, and some guys take time off and just, you know, kind of piss it away. He's not going to do that.
Yeah, he's not going to do that.
He can do everything he can.
I'm going to be interested in the curveball. I'm thinking
Me too.
I'm thinking, you know, is it just a coincidence that he didn't throw it before and he throws it for a few months and all of a sudden I don't know.
Well, that's what I was hoping when it all came up. I was just hoping he just was having just irritated flexors, you know, in his forearm from being in a different position, you know, grip. Right. You squeeze that ball a little different, you release it a little different. You know, I thought maybe it just pissed his elbow off. They're doing the MRI to be safe, but like I said, they find a tear in there. They want to do something to it. They don't want to just leave that and hope it doesn't pop. And when I think of the two, when you do have a full tear, I think that's a harder recovery in general than, you know, a partial and then getting it reinforced.
Yeah. He's doing it, by the way. Meister's doing it on some full TJs. He's putting the brace in there with it.
With it, yeah.
So that's a great option if you can do that now and have that in there on top of the new ligament too. I would think that gives you a lot better chance of not re-tearing it. All this stuff is, like I said, that we don't have huge sample sizes yet. So like you do with Tommy John, where there's been like almost 3,000 in the pro ball. Yeah. So good luck to Strider, and we'll see. It just makes you appreciate the fact that Charlie is 40 and still spinning the ball like he does and can still rear back and throw mid to upper. He can still throw 96.
That's God-given. You know, I don't care how hard you work or what a great routine you have. Like you can look at guys like Jake Arrieta, who was drinking a gallon of kale juice or whatever. I mean, you know, he's doing everything he can. Right. He gets to a point where his body just can't take it anymore. And then you have guys like Charlie where, you know, his clock just doesn't seem to want to expire.
He's just, you look at him and he's just got the perfect pitcher's build too. Just perfect. The long limbs. He's not a big, huge guy. He's just a big guy by, you know, he's proportioned right, but he's got long limbs. And he struggled. It took him a decade to really find himself and he came in his own in his 30s. And he figured out what his best delivery was. And after he'd had Tommy John and sorted other injuries and then figured out how the spin rate when the advanced metrics came in and he could shape it and look at it and figure it out. So he's a guy that metrics really helped analytics.
I was thinking about this the other day. I just looked it up, but I was wondering how much Charlie had made. And, you know, he'd made about $8 million by the time he turned 30. He's going to finish his career making about 150. And I bet you if you told him when he was 30, like, you're going to finish with 150 in earnings, that would have been hard to believe.
Well, it's crazy. His highest salaries have been in ages 38, 39, and 40 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Those have been his highest salaries.
he only had 5 years of service at 30 years old.
Yeah.
And then he went 8, 7 with a $1 million buyout, 7, 15, 15. He turned 37, got 15 from the Braves. And then 38, 39, and 40, he made 20 mil. So he's made 60 mil after 37.
Yeah.
And
it's about
90 after 35.
While talking retirement, like every year.
Every year, I don't want to do this anymore. But that's why when it comes up, you know, like if you're still functional and getting big leaguers out, we offer you 20 mil to play a game for one more year.
Yeah.
How do you turn that down?
He's got those 3 or 4 kids, and this money he's made in these last 3 years is going to assure whatever happens in their lives, they're all covered, you know. Yeah. Worst case scenario, Dad's got that money, man.
Well, yeah, I don't see Charlie flying private, you know what I mean, and buying Lambos. His money's going to stay.
Although he does, after talking to Spencer, he does have an affinity for the Porsches. He's a vintage Porsche guy. Oh, yeah, that's his thing. So
those hold their value, though.
Yes, because Spencer was telling me, because Charlie is an encyclopedia of Porsche, because Spencer loves it too. He doesn't have one yet. But he said, Charlie, I said, does he got that 4-door one with all the kids? Does he have a 4-door, the sports car? What is it? Derek Lowe had it.
The Panamera, something like that.
Panamera. Because Derek Lowe had one when they were new. And Charlie said,
yeah, that's when he was drag racing on Peachtree.
Yes. Charlie said, actually, he does. He's got the, Taycan? Is it Taycan? He's got that one. And he's got like a supercharged one. He said it's like a supercar, basically. But he's got because of the kids.
I know that the 911 has 4 seats. If you don't get the super, like the GT3 or whatever it is, has a roll cage.
He's got one of those.
Does he?
Yeah. So,
No,
but that's his thing. That's his one thing. He's lived in the same house for a long time. He's, doesn't blow his money.
You can do that. You're
Yeah.
good. As long as you're not getting, I had a teammate and his wife was throwing these brunches, catered that were like $30,000 every week. And as long as you don't have anything like that happening, I think you're good to go when you've made 150. But you'd be surprised how easy it is to blow some money.
Oh, you can blow it in a hurry with a DIVORCE.
Yeah, there's 50. There's 50 and 50 went to taxes.
We've seen a few guys go through that before.
Yeah.
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of 755 Forever. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/forever to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/forever. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
Expressing your love can look many different ways. And with the right jewelry gift from Blue Nile, it can truly sparkle. Blue Nile's collection of classic diamond jewelry makes for the kind of gift that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Or switch things up with a sapphire piece sure to spark conversation. Either way, Blue Nile's Diamond Guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Express yourself with Blue Nile, the original online jeweler, at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Dave Lezotte here with a Gwinett Stripes update. The AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves is off to a 7-8 start under first-year manager Kanekoa Teixeira, tied for 11th place in the 20-team International League. The early season headline in Gwinett has been the starting rotation. It's comprised entirely of pitchers on Atlanta's 40-man roster, including top prospect A.J. Smith-Shawver, 2023 National League All-Star Bryce Elder, and Huascar Ynoa, coming back from Tommy John surgery. The Stripers' best starter so far has been Dylan Dodd, who went 2-0 with a 3.86 ERA and 17 strikeouts over his first 3 outings. Gwinnett's veteran-heavy offense is led by Leury Garcia, who ranks 4th in the IL in batting at .380 following a 9-game hitting streak. Outfielder J.P. Martinez, the lone Stripers' position player on Atlanta's 40-man roster, has also been off to a hot start. The former Texas Ranger is batting .340 with 6 extra base hits, 7 steals, and a 1,000 OPS through 13 games. The Stripers are at Coolray Field in Lawrenceville for a 6-game series against the Memphis Redbirds, AAA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals, from April 16th to the 21st. Tickets are on sale now at GoStripers.com.
All right, so this is going to be an interesting series. They're going to start Darius Vines. Snit announced it after the game today, as we expected, because they sent down Winans after his start, brought Vines up the next day. Same thing. If they needed him in long relief, they would have used him. If not, then he was going to start this game. They didn't need. So then he'll make the start. Then I would anticipate he'll get optioned the day after. They'll bring another guy up, do the same thing, whether it's Dylan Dodd or whoever, Bryce Elder. I think when Bryce comes up, it'll be more, he have a chance to make more than one start, but I don't know, But for now, they're in this kind of cycle. You bring the guy up because they can. They got these optionable pitchers. You bring a guy up. If you need him in long relief, it's a blowout. You don't want to burn any of your pitchers. You can do that. I'm sure he would have started, or he would have pitched the other day instead of Guillorme, but Winans was going to pitch. Oh, no, that was the game. Yeah. Winans started. I'm sorry. Guillorme came at the end of that. So, but if you had one of those situations arise, and you needed a couple of innings, you could use one of these guys. But that they bring him up with the intention of he's going to start, unless we have to have him for long relief. Man, when I saw Guillorme pitch the other day, it reminded me how much I loved the fact that Bobby never would use position guys.
Yeah.
He hated it. Bo and I were talking about this, Bowman and I think we saw it one time, and it was a long game. But remember, that's back when there were a lot of 13, 14, 15 inning games. Now there's none of those.
Wouldn't do it.
He still wouldn't do it. And now there are none of those.
You used to see it like once a season, The team would do it once a season. Like we played a series against the Pirates where we went extras one game and 19 another, and it was back-to-back nights or within a couple days. So
that was the game that ended up like
position player
3 a.m. The 19 inning one.
The ump just said that's enough. He said,
that terrible call at the plate.
Said we got to go.
Where he tagged the plate twice, or where he tagged him out twice.
He tagged him 3/4 of the way to third base, and his slide didn't even get there.
That's an unbelievable call, man.
Clint Hurdle's face turned purple.
Yes. We're like, oh, thank God. We're out of. I remember driving home from that game that night after writing, because it was it was a story. I had to write a story, and I remember driving home past the McDonald's near my house, and it was open.
People were getting breakfast.
People were getting breakfast, and the sun was about to come up.
Yeah, we didn't use any position players that day.
Yeah, that's what Bobby he would always keep a couple of guys, and if he got like to the 12th inning, he had 2 relievers, he'd make that guy go 2 or 3 innings, Yeah. And then the next guy was going to do the same thing. So
yeah,
I just like that.
They got different rules now, not rules, but teams have different protocols for guys. Like
they do rest and all that.
I text Moilo all the time. Like, man, can you imagine if 2 days off was a guaranteed down day? How good our arms would have felt. We didn't get a guaranteed off day until 4 in a row. 3 in a row, you were kind of, emergency only or something like that. And granted, sometimes, a portion of those games we'd be brought in for one hitter, but you're still going through the whole process. Right. And it's still, you do a full warm up, you get into a game and you throw it full effort. Yeah. Whether it's 3 pitches or 14 and you get 3 hitters or 1 hitter on, it's the same taxation on your arm. So it's just funny now to watch, these guys, they pitch one, and I was really shocked when I went to Oakland and they were already doing that. And these guys would pitch one and then they'd have a day off and then they'd pitch again and then they'd get 2 days off and they'd be saying, I might need 1 more. And I just wanted to punch them in the stomach. It's like, dude, you need 1 more. You've pitched 2 out of 4 days. You're fresh.
And if they go 40 or 50 pitches, they get like 4 days.
A month.
It's just different. Yeah. And they're throwing, so many guys are throwing so hard too. Relievers are throwing so hard. I understand why they do it. I still hate it though, because what it does to bullpen ERAs, what it does to the integrity of the game. I'm just old school like that. And the fans that come out to see it, Yeah. There might be something funny, like a matchup between 2 friends, that kind of thing. That's rare. Most of the time, it's just garbage, though. And a guy hits a grand slam the other day off Guillorme. That's just
I was like, this is the ultimate clown moment. Last year, I was watching a game, or maybe the year before, and Rendon switched around and hit left-handed.
Yeah.
And hit a bomb. And I'm just, what the hell is going on in this game?
It's a major league game that counts.
And this guy's batting lefty, and then he hits a home run.
You don't even do that in spring training games.
No.
So, yeah. But, Snitz evolved in that one, too, so he'll do it occasionally. But he doesn't do it like a lot of teams do still. And they have the rule now where you got to be behind by 10 runs or ahead by 8 or whatever. It's that, because they don't want it. Guys doing it. Because for a while there, it was happening
teams
like every night.
Down 4. Teams
every
would just
night.
be down 4.
Yes.
We're saving our him for tomorrow. We're probably not coming back. They got a lights-out closer.
Yeah, it was looking it looked bad. Player. It just looked bad. So
you had position players with 12 appearances on a season.
Yep. This episode of 755 Forever is brought to you by Joe Van Co's new coffee blend called Blend Number 44, named in honor of Hank Aaron. Visit joevangogh.com. That's JoeVanGogh.com. And get some of that coffee with the cool, it's got a cool packaging on it. Great logo. Good font. So, all right, well, we'll do this again. I'm flying to Houston in the morning and looking forward to this. Should be a good series now that the Astros are playing better ball, and we'll see what Vines can do tomorrow. When they stuck him into that game last year in Colorado, he really stepped up. So
yeah, he did.
They could use.
I think it's good to give these guys some auditions. Get a look at what they're going to do at the major league level, because we've talked plenty about it. It's a little different when those bright lights come on.
Yeah. So the Braves have got, 3 at Houston, then they get a day off, and then they got the Rangers, Marlins, and Guardians, Cleveland, all coming in for a long homestand. That'll be a 9 games in 10 days homestand after this Miami-Houston trip. All right, that's it. And then Seattle and LA out there, West Coast, coming up. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We appreciate it. And subscribe on YouTube and give us a good grade. We'd appreciate it. All that. 755 forever. We are out.
Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston are springing up cash. Just sell us your gently used warm weather styles like tees, shorts, sandals, and more. We're paying cash on the spot for gently used spring styles for guys and girls. Support sustainable fashion. This spring, do your thing and recycle the spring-inspired clothes, shoes, and accessories that are just hanging in your closet for cash on the spot. Let your spring clothes bloom into cash at Plato's Closet. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.